Good day, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. Please stay safe and healthy while this pandemic is ongoing. Stay at home, relax, and enjoy your tour. Our tour is all about Baguio Historical and Heritage Tour. Before we begin, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sandra Andaha, and I'll be your virtual tour guide. Together, we will discover the culture and beauty of Baguio. What comes in your mind when you talk about Baguio? Do you want to know the history of this city? Well, welcome to the summer capital of the Philippines, the city of pines, and the educational hub of the North, Baguio City. It is approximately 250 kilometers away from Manila. Baguio City is included into an only landlocked region in the country, the Cordillera Administrative Region. Baguio City is known as the UNESCO because of innovation and creativity as more sustainable and urban development. Before we begin, I would like to share to you the humble beginnings of this city. The city was first named Cafaguay, an Ibaloi word meaning wide open place, and it was occupied by the Kankanayan Ibaloi tribes of the Cordilleras as the original settlers. Baguio City is the capital of Benguet, and folk says that the city got its name from Baguio, a mossy flowering plant that grows in this part, and American colonizer pronounced it as Baguio. The Philippines was granted independence in 1946. Baguio City resumed its role as the summer capital of the Philippines and the Philippines' top tourist destination from 1946 until July 16, 1990, when a 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit the city, and after which it rebuilt quickly. I guess you're wondering, what is our first destination? Our first destination is famous because of Zigzag Road, the Lion's Head, the most accessible road, or the most fastest road going up in Baguio City. Welcome to Kennon Road, also known as the Rosario Baguio Road. It is a two-lane roadway in Benguet Province in the Philippines, connecting the mountain city of Baguio to the lowland town of Rosario La Union Province. The project began in 1903 and reopened for travel in 1905. Originally called it as Benguet Road, and it was renamed in or in honor of its builder, General or Brigadier General Yinman Kennon of the U.S. Armed Corps of Engineers. While looking at this picture are the vintage vehicle on the way up to Baguio. When Americans conquered the Cordillera Highland in 19th century, they had a hard time reaching the Benguet Mountains. As you can see at this picture, this is Brigadier General Lyman Kennon. The Benguet Road, or known as the Kennon Road, was the most expensive engineering work at that time, costing the government a total of 2.7 million for that period. The American government commissioned General Lyman Kennon to complete the construction in 1905. Later then, General or Governor-General Leonard Wood Road issued an executive order naming the road after Kennon. Now we're heading to the iconic Lion's Head in Kennon Road. It is actually the brainchild of some of the pioneer members of the Baguio City Lions Club. They wanted to create a symbol that will establish the presence of the group. And the place of Baguio City was not spared from 7.7 magnitude twin earthquake that hit the city on July 16, 1990. It suffered from severe crack, made even worse by vandals, And here is the picture of the Baguio Lions Club in Kennon Road after the 1919 earthquake. The view deck point and the Kennon Road. After providing the assistance for those who have been affected by the earthquake, Baguio Lions Club members led the rehabilitation of the damage of the lion's head. Our next destination is a few minutes away from the Kennon Road, located at the Fort del Pilar near Luwacan Airport. It is a training school of the armed forces in the Philippines, the Philippine Military Academy. It was begun in October 25, 1898, with the establishment of the Academia Militar in Malolos, Bulacan by virtue of decree issued by the first President of the Philippines, General Emilio Aguinaldo. Graduates were awarded regular commission in the armed forces. While the Philippines was under American rule, an officers' school of Philippine Constabulary was established at the walled city of Intramuros in Manila on February 1905. And it relocated 3 years later here in Baguio City, initially in Camp Henry T. Allen, and executively in Camp John Hay. Teachers Camp. Due to wider grounds, the Academy moved to the present site in Fort Gregorio del Pilar, and it is a 373-hectare compound in Luwacan, named after the young hero of the Battle of Tirad Pass, General Gregorio del Pilar. In 1993, in the Ordinance of the Republic Act 7192, the first female cadets were admitted into the Philippine Military Academy. There are a lot of beautiful views and attractions inside the camp or the Philippine Military Academy. Here are the example: the Philippine Military Academy Museum, where you can see inside was the different kinds of cadets' uniform, weapons, and many more. The grandstand, where the venue of the grand alumni and the graduation of cadets, the war relic, and many more. Now we're heading to our next destination. It is a few minutes away from the PMA, and it was the first place in the Philippines bombed by the Japanese in World War II, and it is where General Yamashita formally surrendered the Camp John Hay. This is the former rest and recreation facility of the U.S. Armed Forces, and it is older than the city itself. For almost the whole of the 20th century, it was made Baguio City in the Philippines, Little America. In 1903, Camp John Hay was designed for the executive or exclusive use of the U.S. military and Department of Defense in Far East. This is the U.S. base named after the U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt, Secretary of State. Was used by the Japanese as the concentration camp for American and British soldiers during the World War II. It was also the use as their military headquarters when General Yamashita moved up in north from Manila towards the end of the Japanese occupation in the Philippines. Here are some attraction inside the Kamchanhe, the Bell House. Named after the Major General Franklin Bell, who headed the design of the architecture in Kamchanhe. This is the center of the camp's historical core. Beside the Bell House is the Bell Amphitheater, also designed by Bell himself. It is surrounded by flowers of varying species and terraces of green grasses. In the middle, as you can see, it is a gazebo that serves as the stage of events, especially in weddings. Cemetery of Negativism, also known as the Lost Cemetery or the Pet Cemetery, one of the sites within the historical court. Next, historical trail and the secret garden. While walking along the trail, you will learn more about the Kamchanhe, where there are signages installed inside. The totem pole, carved by Ernesto Dulang, it contains the head of the historical figure who held the shape of the history of Kamchanhe, Baguio City, and the entire country as a whole. Liberty Park, a small park located at the center Liberty Loop, but the highlight of the park is the replica of the Statue of Liberty, constructed in December 1891, and it is the 48 inches tall. The park is surrounded by benches and towering pine trees. The Treetop Adventure. Extreme the Experience the extreme attraction like the zip line, silver surfer, treetop adventure, canopy ride, and gives you an annual thrills, especially being surrounded by tall trees. They also have the picnic point where Scout Hill, and in Scout Hill you can experience different kinds of activities. They also have the bike riding and children's park. And the last is the Yellow Trail. This is not much popular, but the Yellow Trail in Kamchanhe is the perfect place for those who love nature or enjoy nature. And also, this is the place or the way to the gate of the American resident in Baguio City. Our next destination, maybe you know the Malacanang Palace. And of course, here in Baguio City, we also have the other version of the Malacanang Palace, the Mansion House. It is located on the eastern part of the city, right across the Wright Park. Older than the city itself, the Mansion House is easily one of the most visited landmark in Baguio City. The Mansion House is two-story building which serve as the official residence of the Philippine President in Baguio City, and nearby is the small amphitheater. Formerly called as a mansion house, this stately building was built in 1903 or 08 as the summer home of the U.S. Governor-General, who were the American administrators of the Philippines, and was destroyed in 1945 during the Battle of Liberation of the Philippines. The government, the Philippine government later rebuilt and improved the structure in 1947, and since then, it was being used by the various Philippine presidents whenever they come up here in Baguio City for the official visit or arrangement. The elaboration of the main gate here in the Mansion House, as you can see, is said to be the replica of the Buckingham Palace in London, England. As you can see at this picture is the old picture of the Mansion House. As you can see, there is no gate here, and this is the flat land. Now, this is the picture of the front of the mansion house, wherein they call it as the pool of pine because the pine tree reflects each side of the pool. Now we're heading to our next destination. It is a it is a huge piece of land owned by the Philippine government, Botanical Garden, like Burnham Park. It is one of the prime piece of real estate that provides priceless and peace of the city. Said to be one-time zoo and actually named as a botanical zoological garden. Igorot Garden or Igorot Village for the different Cordilleran huts and statues that decorate at the park. Imelda Park, named after the late First Lady Imelda Marcos. Baguio Botanical Garden, as we all know. Now it called it called it as Centennial Park in celebration of 100 years of the summer capital of the Philippines. There are a lot of attraction inside the botanical or the Centennial Park, but the latest attraction here was the elephant here. It is the life-size family of elephant statue, and it is the gift of Thailand created by Thai artists, and it symbolized the friendship between Filipino and Thailand. But the major attraction here is the Japanese tunnel. The 150-meter Japanese tunnel walk, walked walkway has been opened to public. It is fascinating place to go, and the entrance of this botanical garden is just the beginning. And the exit of this Japanese tunnel was the Baguio Botanical Garden included Outlook Drive, the Presidential Mansion, and parts of Barangay Pacdal. The Japanese Filipino community has been taken it upon themselves to turn down the garden into attraction and open for public viewing, and the tunnel were even widened and clean and a bit safety. Now we're heading to our next destination. It is the event venue for teachers training center located at the Leonard Wood Road in Baguio City. The Teachers Camp. It was established by the Benguet Governor William Pack, and it in the area to accommodate both American and Filipino teachers. It was built because one of the major contribution American occupation is education. Teachers Camp is a training facility for teachers that was built in 1908. During the Japanese occupation in 1942 to 1945, they used the camp as their hospital. It was left damaged and after the war and was repaired and reopened in 1947. In May 12, 2008, Teachers Camp was reported and declared as the National Heritage Site, and believers of the paranormal say that the camp is haunted because it, it claims to be more than 100 years. Just a few minutes or just a few walk from the teachers camp, we're heading to the famous destination in Baguio City, the White House, or they call it as the Haunted House. It is originally called it as a laperal house. The house was built by Roberto Laperal in 1930s. And The house is made by Nara and yakal wood designed by Victorian-style Windies wooden planks. The clad head, Roberto and Victoria Laperal made the house their vacation homes. During the World War II, the house was occupied by the Japanese soldiers and was used as the military garrison. The troops reported raped women, torture, killed people working from the United States and their allies. Chinese-Filipino billionaire Lucio Tan purchased the property in 2007 but never stayed in the place. He renovated with the proper maintenance and made it into a tourist attraction. In 2013, the Taikon's Foundation transformed the house to a bamboo foundation museum where Filipino artworks are based on the bamboo and woods. According to the believer, the house is haunted and the house was being featured in television, especially during Halloween by TV5, GMA, ABS-CBN program Magandang Gabi Bayan, and Eyewitness. The 2010 horror movie White House featured the house. Now we're heading to our next destination. Maybe you're wondering, what is the first hotel in Baguio City? Actually, the first hotel in Baguio City named the Pines Hotel. This is the Pines Hotel. Built in 1901 and located at the location of the hotel is in the Luneta Hill. The Luneta Hill is what SM Baguio located or stands now. Well, our next destination is one of the oldest hotel here in Baguio City. And this is the Casa Vallejo. Casa Vallejo is the oldest hotel in Baguio City, located along the Upper Session Road. It is one of the Baguio's most visited places. The Casa Vallejo is the oldest hotel built in 1909, and it is also awarded by the Baguio Centennial Commission as one of the 10 oldest institutions in the city. It was constructed by the American to house the construction workers who helped build in Baguio City. In 1923, the dormitory was leased to Salvador Vallejo, who transformed the dormitory into a hotel named after him. Together with the Baguio Centennial Baguio Cathedral, it survived the Japanese carpet bombing during the World War II in 1941. The presence of the hill station providing the food for the guests and diners, serving the world-class food using the mixture of local and imported sources. Now we're heading to the majestic church located on the top of the hill. It is one of the familiar icons and most visited landmark in the city. It is beautiful rose-colored structure and it is distinguished from the other churches in the Philippines by the Twin Tower. Here is the Baguio Cathedral. One of the country's most beautiful architectural structures and easily Baguio City's most magnificent building, rich and decorated inside. In 1907, a Catholic mission chapel dedicated to Saint Patrick was established by the Belgian missionaries. The site where the cathedral currently stands was the hill referred as to the Campo by the Ibaloy people. Construction of the cathedral itself began in 1920. During the World War II, the cathedral was the evacuation center and it will stood as the carpet bombing of the Baguio during liberation in March 1945. After the Baguio Cathedral, we're heading at the left side of it. It is the commercial center with variety of shops, stores, and office lying each part. The Session Road. The Session Road has the two parts, the lower and the upper. The lower starts at the Magsaysay Avenue here. Wait for a while. Here. Going up at the post office or at here. And the upper session start here. Going to the Panagbenga Park. The Session Road is named because it is the first site of the Philippines Commission first session. The Session Road leads up to the old Baden-Powell Hall, where the second Philippine Commission held in its session from April 22 to June 11, 1904, and officially initiate the use of Baguio as the summer capital of the Philippines. A marker, this one, located at the Governor Park Road, and stand the only visible evidence that anything historical significant on Session Road. In early of the years of Panagbenga, the Baguio Flower Festival Parade used the start of the upper session going up to Magsaysay and turns to Harrison and ending up in Athletic Ball in Burnham Park. And did you know that every Sunday in the Session Road going up is closed and to close to vehicle and it made as a pedestrian friendly, and every Sunday they also have the different kinds of event like here. Now we're heading to our next destination. It is famous attraction here in Baguio City, where it is a part that people can experience riding a boat. It is truly a very heart of Baguio, with an area of 32.84 hectares. It is central location makes it the most valuable piece of Baguio real estate. The mother of all parks in the summer capital of the Philippines, also familiar to the Filipinos as the Luneta Park in Manila, designed by and named after the primer American architecture and urban planner Daniel Burnham, who also designed the original plan of Baguio City. Burnham Park remains to this day as one of the Philippines' most well-known and best-loved parks. The picture where you can see is the park retains much of the Daniel Burnham original design and layout a century ago. Burnham Park has 12 clusters. The Burnham Lagoon, or they call it as the man-made lagoon, or the man-made lake, the children's park, here, the two, skating ring, rose garden, and this is the latest addition here at the park, the orchidarium, Igorot Garden, Melville Jones Grandstand, Athletic Bowl, Picnic Grove, and Japanese Twin Tower is located here. This is not famous, but it is included in the 12 cluster, the Pine Tree of the World Park, and the Sunshine Park. It is originally served as much of the need of green plan or the green park to provide the city with a peaceful environment with the wide open spaces. And as you can see at this picture, it is the old picture of the Burnham Park in 1923, or I mean 1928. Now we're heading to our next destination, the Baguio City Hall. It is a few walk away from the Burnham Park, and as you know, Baguio City Hall is where government of or who rule the city. As you can see at this picture, this is the old Baguio City Hall and where we started as the home of Americans. Trivia: the first 5 mayors here in Baguio City are actually Americans. And let's start with the first mayor, Mayor Reynolds, followed by Mayor Ekman, Mayor Williams, Mayor Charles Don Lewis, and the last and the fifth one is Mayor Eusebio Alcima. As you can see at this picture, this is Mayor Engineer Eusebio Alcima. He was the last American who served in government as a mayor in Baguio City. He also one of the engineer who engineered Baguio City as being the civil engineer himself. He also built the mountain trail now known as the Alcima Highway. Now, our present mayor here in Baguio City is actually a former police deputy Director General Benjamin Magalong. Now, our last destination, it is one of the oldest schools located here in Baguio City, is Baguio Central School. Sorry. It is said to be the first public elementary school in the Philippines, celebrate 151 Foundation Day this September 2. Baguio Baguio Central opened in 1899 as one room in the house owned by Mateo Carino, who later donated 2 hectares of his land to the government. Instruction was concentrated on the teaching of reading, writing, and speaking of English language. The school first accepted female students in 1901, and in 1914, a complete elementary school was established. Baguio Central School during World War II is closed and it was damaged by natural calamity and such typhoons and earthquakes. And it was renovated by the Department of Education and Heritage Concentration Society in 2004 and declared it as a heritage school. Now, thank you, my dear tourists, or thank you, my virtual tourists, and I hope that you have enjoyed our virtual tour. On behalf of the University of Baguio School of International Hospitality and Tourism Management, once again, I am Sandra Andaca, and I would be happy to see you Personally, on your actual tour or actual trip here in Baguio or here in the City of Pines, there are a lot of attraction here yet to see here in the City of Pines, like the Old Diplomat Hotel, the Bedcab Museum, Tamawan Village, and the Museo Cordillera, and many more. Thank you.